Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Thomas Rants YouTube channel, and I'm here with Monday Night Raw reactions. Now, kicking off the show, this was a great way to start the show. I'm a massive fan of promos. I'm here for all the promos, right? And Rollins and his faction came out and cut a promo. Now, originally, I wasn't into this faction. Like, not that I wasn't into it. I didn't think it could be good. I just didn't like what they were giving us because I thought, what was the point of Paul Heyman being there? Paul Heyman's usually a spokesperson who kind of hypes up wrestlers, and he wasn't doing that. Seth Rollins was the spokesperson, and Braun and Bronson seemed so random. But now it's so clear that from this promo, where Braun, first of all, took the mic off Paul and Seth before they could say anything and cut a promo on Sami Zayn. A very good promo, might I just add. Braun is someone who never cuts a promo. And he cut, he said Sami Zayn's like, he's washed basically, he's got as much athletic ability as a dead fish. He said he hates Sami Zayn basically, doesn't go to the gym. He's got a what's the word? Sell by date, or he's got a date and he's gonna stamp it, right? He basically said he's gonna crush Sami Zayn. And then Bronson Reed got a chance to take the mic, because Seth and Paul saw Bron cook and they went, you know what, fine, Bronson will give you a shot. And obviously Bron's having a match with Sami Zayn tonight. Bronson's in a match with Jey Uso later on tonight, right? And I mean, there's history for both these matches. I mean, Bron and Sami had a feud for the Intercontinental title. I mean, Bron won the Intercontinental title off of Sami Zayn. And Bronson just got pinned by Jey Uso last week or the week before. Can't remember which one. Or a couple of weeks ago. He got pinned by Jey Uso, basically. And he says he hates Jey Uso. And he says, he's part of this faction because Seth sees a vision. And Seth sees the vision because Bronson beat the respect in Seth. He took Seth out of action by hitting him with 6 tsunamis. And that's why he's here. And he says he's going to do the same to Jey Uso. Then eventually, Paul Heyman cut a promo, basically summing up what Braun and Bronson just said, and he brought Roman Reigns into the conversation. He says Roman Reigns doesn't have the balls to, step up and do something about it because Seth has pinned Roman at WrestleMania, and it's not the first time he's done it. And he basically hyped up everyone. And then he spoke about Penta because Seth has a match with Penta. And every time Seth tried to speak on the mic, everyone chanted CM Punk. Funnily enough, CM Punk was the one man they didn't mention. They mentioned Sami, they mentioned Jey, they mentioned Penta, they even mentioned Roman Reigns, but they did not mention CM Punk. And it's almost as if he's the one man they're kind of afraid of because he's the one man they haven't beaten. Seth got one over on Roman Reigns. He got one over on CM Punk technically, but he's pinned Roman Reigns. He's never pinned CM Punk. And Penta, Sami, Jey, they're all confident they can do it because they all have. But this really just outlined what this faction is about for me. I mean, Paul Heyman, while he's not necessarily the manager spokesperson, he's supposed to be the one that can make moves and has the power to make pulls, right? Where he can make certain matches happen and certain things happen, such as Seth getting the Money in the Bank briefcase, being involved in Money in the Bank. And Seth is the veteran in the ring who's been the star, who is the star, who's the locker room leader, who's always been called a visionary. And now they're putting the visionary nickname to good use because now he's had a vision for the future of WWE, and that's the story they've been building. And the future is Braun and Bronson, two people who are very good in ring and, while have respect, deserve even more respect, and they've never been labelled as that top star. And Seth, being the visionary, with being a big star, can pull them up with them. Paul, being the man who can make moves and make things happen, like he did for Brock and Roman, will have the mic, will have the knowledge and the managing skills to make the right moves for Braun and Bronson. And Braun and Bronson have showed themselves in the ring, and now they're showing themselves on the mic. Those are up and coming. They all each hold a significance in this faction. It's not just Paul Heyman being someone's manager, and it's finally making sense. And I'm actually excited for all these matches tonight. And honestly, I want each and every single one of them to win. It wouldn't make sense for Seth to lose to Penta. It wouldn't make sense for Braun to lose to Sami. The only one I can see happening is Bronson losing to Jey. I really think Bronson should beat Jey. I know Jey's a top superstar and he was just a World Heavyweight Champion. But if you want to build them up, make this happen. Pull some shenanigans. Cool, yeah, pull the cheat in every match. Fine, right? But this needs to lead to CM Punk coming out, the one man that feared. Because I think CM Punk, Seth Rollins is the match to make at SummerSlam. I know some people are probably wanting Roman Reigns for SummerSlam, but I think hold that. I think hold that thought for Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. That's how big that can be. Punk needs to move on. These three need to beat the hell out of these three. That Sammy, Penta, Jay. They need to be done with them. Punk needs to end it with them. It's SummerSlam. Punk, Raw, and SummerSlam is division. I say Roman can long this out because there's a dream match. When Roman comes back, we don't want to wait till WrestleMania, but there's a story there where Roman can have that dream match with Braun Breaker, but also have a match with Bronson Reed, while Seth may cash in his Money in the Bank and become world champion, because Seth is not feeling that cash in. Seth's going to become world champion, and it's going to happen before WrestleMania, and Roman Reigns could win the Rumble or the Chamber, and we get Roman Seth for the world title at WrestleMania. I'm loving where this faction's going. It's finally making sense. Well, it made sense a bit ago, but it's looking even better now. It's fantastic. I just pray they don't mess it up, because there's some great shit happening here. And what I love about Seth, I know I've spoke for 6 minutes about this just opening promo, but what I love about Seth, he is so consistent. I mean, he's been feuding with Punk since Punk came back at the end of 2023, and it's not ended. And it's never been boring. It's never been stale. Never. It's crazy. And Seth and Roman have been feuding since Seth turned on him in 2014. Really. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, there was a cut-off, between 2017 and probably 2021, 2022. But they've been going at it for years, and it's never, ever, ever been boring. I'll be real. This was amazing. This was the best way to open Monday Night Raw. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the best segment I've ever seen in my life. I mean, they just reflected on last week, Finn Balor and JD winning the World Tag Titles. And obviously they had a bit of a walk-in. Last week, Roxanne became the new Tag Team Champion for Raquel Rodriguez. And Judgment Day are dripping in gold. Every single member of the Judgment Day has a title. And it's almost as if they're dominating Raw, but it's really just a mid-card because they've not got no world titles. Let's just break down the segment. I mean, it started off with Finn polishing all the titles because Finn's happy that everyone has gold. This was Finn's vision for the Judgment Day. Finn was becoming the one who was getting frustrated, who wasn't a part of plans, and nothing was going his way. And he felt like the Judgment Day was moving away without him. Now with Liv getting injured, Finn bringing in Roxanne Perez, everything going to plan, and then them winning, it proves Finn's significance and his validity, and this was his plan all along, and this is what he wanted from the Judgment Day. So that was great. Dom and JD were chilling, playing darts, whatever, with Roxanne Perez. Raquel Rodriguez walks in. Now obviously she's the skeptical one. She's Liv's best friend. She goes, what the hell is that? And they have a picture with like candles and flowers of Liv Morgan, right? And it's almost as if it's like a memorial. She goes, what's that? Liv's been rehabbing, she's gonna come back. And Finn's like, oh, I wouldn't be so sure. When I hurt my shoulder, I was out for 8 months. And obviously Finn doesn't want Liv to come back. Liv was controlling the Judgment Day, and Finn likes that he's now got control, and he likes how it is because it's his vision. Pardon the vision reference. Seth Rollins is in my head. Raquel Rodriguez wasn't too happy about it, but she was like, Roxanne, just stick to your promise. Go out there and beat Kairi Sane tonight. Essentially left, with Roxanne. And JD was like, hey, Finn, go speak to Adam Pearce about what's happening for us tonight. Finn was like, oh, look at JD standing on business. He's like, yeah, I'm hyped. A bit of comedy, right? The comedy I'm loving, right? Interesting stories, comedy. And then eventually Dom was like, oh, guys, by the way, thanks for this get well soon cake, because, Dom claims to be injured. Still hasn't said what the injury is. And then they went, both Finn and JD had a bit of a moment like, that wasn't us. And then he read it, and it went, get well soon from AJ. I don't know why my brain went to AJ Lee, but obviously AJ Styles. And then it panned the camera, and AJ Styles is in the corner being like, keep my eye on you, because AJ Styles has been chasing that Intercontinental title opportunity, and he's never been given it because Dom's been injured, and he again pulled up the doctor's note. This was amazing. I mean, Judgment Day are interesting, they're funny, and the people who say Judgment Day need to be over, it's getting boring, old, you're just wrong. Why does Judgment Day need to end? Okay, cool, people keep leaving, and there's new members, and there's no longer any original members of the Judgment Day. But why not? they always find a way to make it interesting, and it still is, and they're still relevant. In 2023, WWE was killing it with their faction game. They had Judgment Day, LWO, Bloodline, so many great factions, and now they've got like none. They've got Judgment Day and Seth's visionary thing. I love it. Let's keep it, you know? Brilliant segment. I've spoke for about 10 minutes on this video, and I'm 2 segments in, not even been a match yet. So there we have the first match, Roxanne Perez versus Kairi Sane. It was quite a long one, I'll be honest, and there was quite a few botches, I believe, on Kairi Sane's behalf. I mean, sometimes it's hard to tell, but I feel like it was on Kairi Sane's behalf. I didn't expect Kairi Sane to get the win, really, but I suppose there was setting up Judgment Day, beating up Kairi Sane, and Asuka coming out to make the save, reuniting the Kabuki Warriors, which I'm kind of bummed about, because, like, don't mind Kabuki Warriors. We need to revive the tag team division, but I was enjoying them too as single superstars. Maybe not Kairi Sane. She wasn't doing too great, but I want her to do great. But Asuka was doing great since her return. And I'm hoping it's just for this match at Evolution, because it's been revealed the 4 competitors, obviously the tag team champions. Then we have Charlotte and Alexa, who we saw earn the opportunity. Now Asuka and Kairi Sane, who are now feuding with them, so it kind of makes sense. But then the 4th team, you know, the NXT team, is Zaruka. Did I miss where they qualified for this match? Were they just chosen? Because I swear Izzy Damon, Tatum Paxley just beat them last week in a tag team match. So I don't know, that's a bit confusing. But I do wonder what's going to happen with the Judgment Day story now, because Raquel Rodriguez said to Roxanne Perez, "You better win, Kairi Sane." And she didn't just say it once. She said it last week. She said it this week. Wonder what's going to happen there. So after WWE reminded us of what happened to Sami Zayn last week, getting beaten up by Karrion Kross, who hurt his ribs, and then the ribs costing him the match, the tag team match with Penta Hurricanes, Braun and Bronson, it cut to a backstage interview with Sami Zayn, where Sami Zayn was all taped up on the ribs still, it was all the midsection, because, you know, the ribs are here, up to here, you know, and it was below the nipple, yeah, so wasn't always, you know, that's like below the nipple, like the bottom 3 ribs, 4 ribs, I don't know, maybe that's just me. Anyway, whatever. She brought up how, I forgot her name, sorry. She brought up how he's got Karrion, he's got Seth, Braun and Bronson, whatever, and she asked how he are dealing with all this, and he said, well, you know what, Braun is what I've got to think about tonight. I couldn't care what he said in his promo, I couldn't care if he thinks he's better than us, he doesn't like us, whatever. He says, I've got a match with him, I've got hurt ribs, what I've got to care about is beating him tonight and winning a match, which is fair. And then he said, but Karrion Kross, I'll worry about him later, which is crazy, because he's had his match with Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross attacked him last week. He's in danger of Karrion Kross. He should not be pushing that side till later, which is exactly what Karrion Kross is pointing out, is that Sammy's not handling his problems well. He's being too nice about it. He's being too calm about it. I'll think about it later. No, Karrion Kross is trying to get something out of Sami Zayn. He's trying to get that fierce, unforgiving side out of Sami Zayn, where, okay, Karrion attacked me, I'm going to go beat you up. Braun said these things about me, okay, I'm going to go deal with it. That's what Karrion wants out of Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn's still fighting it. He's still playing the good guy role. And I like it. I like how they're taking the story. They're not just having a quick one and done with Karrion Kross. But then when Sami walked off camera, you could tell by the way the interviewer was looking, it looked like something was about to happen between Sami and Karrion. But really, Scarlett just came on screen, who got a pop for someone who's not had an in-ring match in God knows how long. I don't even know if she's ever had an in-ring match. She got a massive pop. And she was asked if she wanted to say anything. She said no. She was just watching Sami Zayn, analysing. Karrion wasn't there with her though. So maybe she's taking information back to Karrion. Or maybe Karrion's off doing something different. Maybe he's plotting something against Sami Zayn. Maybe we'll find out later on in the show. Who knows? Another backstage segment, American Made are talking with Adam Pearce, and they're kind of like, how's El Grande Americano competing? And Brutus was kind of like, but Chad Gable's injured. And that's when Julius smacked her, because American Made are giving up the gig. That Chad Gable was El Grande Americano. And all of a sudden, when they were certain that there were 2 different people, now that Chad Gable's injured and El Grande Americano's still there, because it's obviously Ludwig Kaiser, they're kind of now giving up the gig. And now, when Chad Gable was here, Adam Pearce was like, oh, He's the same person, and he wasn't falling for it. But now that he's not here, he's kind of playing along with the no, they're two different people, aren't they? Yeah. He's kind of turning it on them, spinning it on them, being a bit sarcastic. But then they confirmed that Ivy Nile was in the Battle Royal Evolution, and Adam Pearce gave them a weird face when they walked off. And then that's when Asuka and Kairi walked in, and they confirmed that they're the participants in the match at Evolution, and he said, let's reunite the Kabuki Warriors in a really cringy segment. I don't like the general manager being cringy. You're a general manager, not the superstar. I know you're a wrestler and a performer yourself, but I'll be honest, general manager needs to act like a general manager. Picking favourites there, being like, oh, America made, oh, Kabuki Warriors, yeah, and then dancing with them. Makes no sense, you know? Be down the middle, be like an actual boss. So we just got a quick promo / segment from Nikki Bella, who we haven't seen since the Liv Morgan altercation, because obviously they were going to set up Nikki Bella, Liv Morgan at Evolution, and then Liv Morgan got injured, so we didn't have that. But now she's just cut a whole promo saying because of that she wants to prove herself, prove who she is, remind herself who she is, remind her newborn son what she was, and Evolution's always been important. Yada yada yada, headline first Evolution, whatever. So they confirmed that she's been added to the Battle Royal. Okay, they're doing something with her. I don't mind as long as she doesn't win the Battle Royal, because that's for a championship match at Clash in Paris, which could be utilised for so many other people. I swear to God, if Nikki Bella does it, I'll be pissed off, because what are we doing? But when they said she was added in the Battle Royal with all these top competitors in WWE, they showed a vignette of all the superstars who are not in that match. Rhea Ripley was on it. She's not in that match. Io Sky was in it. She's not in that match. Jade Cargill, Tiffany Stratton, Becky Lynch were all in it, and they're not in that match. The only one I saw on that vignette who could potentially be in that match is Bianca Belair, but she potentially could not be because she's still on the injured list. I'd love if Bianca Belair was in that match, and I wouldn't mind if Bianca Belair won that match. But so far, all I'm saying is a bunch of mid-carders. I'll be honest. I couldn't name you one major superstar who's in it. Maybe Stephanie Vaquer. She was on the vignette. She'll be in it. Stephanie Vaquer is who should win. Stephanie Vaquer, Bianca Belair, Julia, Zelina Vega, Chelsea Green. No one else important. I mean, Ivy Nile, Natalia, Maxine Dupree. These smaller superstars, Michin, B-Fab, they're all probably going to be in it. But it's probably going to come down to Nikki Bella and Stephanie Vaquer, and I swear to God, if Nikki Bella wins. If Stephanie Vaquer gets robbed again, she was supposed to win Queen of the Ring in my eyes. Didn't win that. Let her win this Battle Royal. Clash in Paris, it's not a SummerSlam, it's not a WrestleMania. Let's make that Io Sky Stephanie Vaquer match happen. Or make it happen at SummerSlam. And have Asuka and Io at Clash in Paris. But that wouldn't make sense. That wouldn't make sense only if a SmackDown superstar won the Battle Royal. Do you know what I mean? Let's have Stephanie win that. Regardless, I'm going to stop ranting. But that Nikki Bella promo was good. It was long, but it was pre-recorded, and it had many camera angles and was cut, so you could tell there was a weird cut where you could tell there was quite a few mistakes made. Probably took a couple of takes because she's probably a bit rusty, which is fair because she's been out of business a long time. But you can tell she's not in this business no more, like mentally. You know what I mean? But money talks, I suppose. I said Karrion was plotting. Karrion attacks Sami Zayn before the match, hurts his ribs. Adam Pearce comes out, Sami Zayn, plays the hero. I can continue, I can do the match. I signed up for the match, I'll do the match. Braun Breaker beats the shit out of him. Beats the living hell out of him, does everything to hurt those ribs and attack those ribs. Spears him on the outside, catches him with a spear in midair and ends it with a spear. Braun Breaker gets a win. I'm happy he's got the win. I'm happy he looked dominant, but of course WWE had to hurt Sami Zayn before the match in order for him to lose. People can lose. It's fine. You wouldn't have squashed Sami to make Braun look good. But either way, they did make Braun look good. I'm not going to complain. That was thoroughly entertained. Now all that needs to happen is Bronson needs to beat Jay. That is the biggest miracle of tonight. I have no doubt Seth can beat Penta, but that will probably be the main event. That will probably end in a big massive fight. So what I'm guessing is Jay beats Bronson. It's 1-1 and it's between Seth and Penta, and that just ends in a draw, really. I can call this shit. Watch. Come back in a couple minutes. It'll be the truth. I love this. the promos and the segments, they're just on point tonight. I mean, we got a flashback from last week when the match between number one contender match between Bayley and Lyra was a draw, and obviously you thought they're gonna allude to the triple threat match happening. Cuts backstage. War Raiders are talking to Adam Pearce to Adam Pearce is like, look, got all sorts of challenges, and War Raiders like, fine, we just want to make sure we're top of that list. I don't think it should be top of the list. New Day should get a rematch, and then the New Day walked in black outfits wearing flowers. Looked so funny. MPS was like, "Tell me what I'm looking at." He didn't even confront him. He was just like, "Tell me what I'm looking at." And they're like, "We're in mourning." He corrected them, said grieving. They said grieving, whatever. And obviously grieving the loss of their titles. And then they went, "We just want to know when our rematch is." And that's when they were interrupted by the War Raiders, and they were like, "No. You didn't give us a one-on-one rematch." Technically, they didn't. The rematch they got was in a triple threat match with the Creed brothers. So technically they didn't. They said, you didn't give us a rematch because you said it was deserving of all new challengers, which they did say. So Adam Pearce was like, they've got a point. And before they reached a conclusion whether who was getting the match for the titles, whether they were going to face off, Becky walks in shot. And she said, so sorry for your loss. And she's back in the New Day. She's going along with it as a heel herself, a delusional heel herself. It's going great. And she goes, and New Day said Adam Pearce was full of horrible decisions. And Becky backed it, went, oh, this man is full of horrible decisions. And again, it's because the decisions Adam Pearce makes goes against the New Day and Becky Lynch. And obviously, Adam Pearce doesn't get along with the heels. And then she went, and you know what else was a great decision? Getting rid of Big E. I hate that guy. It was just funny. It was a funny scene. I'm not always going to try and break it down, but I loved every little piece. It was perfect. It was comedic. Loved it. Now Becky's heading to the ring. We're probably going to find out about the triple threat match. Let's go. So Becky comes out and explains how it's not fair that Bayley and Lyra, two people who technically both lost to each other, they couldn't even beat each other last week, are getting an opportunity in a triple threat match against the actual champion herself, Becky Lynch, who is now at a statistic disadvantage. She explains how that's not fair, and Becky always speaks facts. She's one of the best promo artists out there. And then she explains how she's the most relevant ever, Sports Illustrated, New York best-selling, first women's main event WrestleMania winner. List goes on. Bayley comes out ready to confront Becky Lynch. Lyra comes out before Bayley can get a word out, storms past Bayley and tries to barge past her. This was funny because this is where the botch was. Lyra tries to be all, I'm going to be cool, I'm going to have a cool moment here. Tries to barge past Bayley. Bayley doesn't move an inch, not even an inch, not even a millimeter, right? And Lyra bounces off her and they just brush past it like nothing happened. But I found that hilarious, the fact that Lyra just bounced right off her. Anyway, and she goes in the ring and they're all cutting promos on each other. There was a lot to digest and I'm not going to try and break it all down, but Becky tries to get in Lyra's head, Lyra's, calling Bayley the same as Becky. They're both disappointments, Bayley didn't care about friendship when it comes to titles, but then Bayley said Lyra, Bayley supported Lyra when Lyra was gaining her success when she won the Intercontinental title. She supported Lyra as a tag team partner. She watched Lyra become double champion, and then she watched her lose it and raise Becky's hand like a little bitch. I wouldn't take that, and she didn't. And a big fight broke out, and what really actually kind of annoyed us is that Lyra dominated the fight. She kicked Bayley in the face, punched Becky in the face, hit Nightwing on both women, and won the battle, which was bullshit because we have two veterans, two people who would destroy Lyra Valkyria. I mean, in ring, Lyra's probably the best in ring, but she's young. Do you know what I mean? She's young. She should be the best in the ring. But I feel like we need a bit more respect for Bayley and Becky. And then she raised Becky's hand while holding the belt and said, this is the last time your hand will get raised with this title. That was some good poetic thing that went on there. But Lyra ain't winning that title at Evolution. Becky's retaining. If anything, if Becky's not retaining, Bayley's winning. But Lyra is not winning that title at Evolution. And if she does, I'll be pretty fucking mad. I don't want that to happen. No one wants that to happen. But yeah, that was a good segment. I felt like there was some more digs. I feel like Bayley could defend herself on the mic a bit better. She was a bit nice with it, but she still held her own. But I feel like there was some more digs Bayley could have given. She really could have. But I'm not going to complain. Great promo. We've just got a quick little backstage segment of Seth and his faction, where Braun was beating himself up, saying, well, Karrion attacked Sami. People are going to think I didn't do it. People are going to think I didn't achieve that. And Seth's like, no, you did it. You took him out. 3 spears. Paul Heyman came in looking all devastated. Like, did you hear the news? And we're like, oh shit, what's going to happen? Paul started laughing, and it was Sami Zayn is out of action indefinitely, and they all had a laugh about it. And he's injured. I don't know if that's shoot. I don't know if it's real. But it's probably gonna write him off TV for a couple of weeks, so he can have a big moment when he comes back. But Seth switched the emotions, changed the feel in the room real quick. He said, "Whoa, Bronson, why are you laughing? Jey Uso's perfectly fine." So Bronson went out to deal with it. Seth left with a little smirk on his face. And now that match is happening, Jey versus Bronson. I'm here for it. If Jey Uso wins, let alone if Jey Uso hits Bronson Reed with that one-armed, it's not even a fucking spear. He just runs past and hits his belly with his arm. He doesn't even properly spear him. It's the weakest spear I've ever seen. If he hits that on Bronson Reed, and Bronson Reed doesn't sell it like a giant, he doesn't, Jey Uso doesn't bounce off Bronson Reed, fully sells it, I'll be fucking mad. It's a weak-ass spear. It's terrible. But if Jey Uso wins, I'll be mad. But it's going to happen. So the match between Jey and Bronson happened, and it was a short one. Jey did win, but it was by DQ, so I'm not mad at it. And they did say, because it ended with, Jey Uso was dominating Bronson. He super kicked him on it, announcer's chair. And then he went to do a suicide dive from Bronson Reed through the announcer's chair at Jey, causing a disqualification. And then he hit 2 tsunamis to beat up Jey Uso. Now, Michael Cole did mention this was never about winning for Bronson Reed. It was about proving how tough he is and hurting Jey Uso. That is a good point. They were trying to hurt Jey Uso. He has my issue with that. It was 2 tsunamis. He said he beat the respecting Seth Rollins with 6 tsunamis. 2 tsunamis is not going to put Jey Uso out for injury, so Seth's not going to be happy with that. And it's not as impactful as 6. People were expecting more, and they didn't do that. What was the other point I was going to make? This successfully made Bronson Reed look strong, and no one had to really suffer for it. Obviously, they did not want Jey Uso losing to Bronson Reed, that's obvious. But they couldn't have Bronson Reed lose and look weak. So, well done. You successfully made both men look good. Now it's just Seth and Penta, which, if that was the draw, I want Seth to beat Penta. Penta will not beat Seth. There's zero chance. Most likely it will end in a no contest or a DQ. No chance Penta beats Seth. But then again, I don't think Seth will beat Penta because WWE won't want their baby faces to lose. This is what's wrong. You see? Nice little promo package there from LA Knight, where he highlighted that Seth had Braun and Bronson take him out 3 tsunamis, and he was back 1 week later to fight Seth. And he said Seth stole what was his, the Money in the Bank briefcase, and although LA Knight will never be able to win the Money in the Bank briefcase, you'll make it a permanent part of Seth's life by sticking up his arse, shoving it down his throat, doing whatever he has to do with it. Now, I don't agree with this, because why can't LA Knight have the chance to win the Money in the Bank briefcase? I think it would be a stupid idea to take the briefcase off of Seth. I think it would be a stupid idea to have LA Knight win it in that way. But why not make it a stipulation for a match? LA Knight can lose the match, Seth can retain it, but make it a stipulation for the Saturday Night's Main Event match. Do you know what I mean? It's what LA Knight wanted. It's what Seth took from LA Knight. Make it happen. Put something on the line. I don't see why not. But they're just going to have the ordinary one-on-one match, which is fine. And to be honest, I sense an LA Knight win, although that would completely kill Seth Rollins' momentum. I sense them trying to shoot LA Knight into stardom, which he is already doing. Maybe this match doesn't even have a winner. Maybe that's what's happening. So we've got this promo package about the match Evolution between Rhea and Io, and the really heavily alluded to the fact that Rhea's never beat Io. I know that's the story with this feud, and that's going to put hype around the match, but I've got this really bad feeling that they're going to have Rhea win the title. I mean, it's Evolution. Rhea's their biggest woman in the company. They're not going to have Rhea lose to Io Sky 4 times in singles action. And I feel like when Liv's back, they kind of want that Damage Control Judgment Day story to end. And I sense a 6-woman tag, Roxanne, Liv, Raquel against Io, Kairi, Asuka at SummerSlam. And they don't want Rhea going into SummerSlam with nothing to do, no storyline. So I feel like they're just going to chuck the world title back on Rhea. I'm not a fan. Also, in that promo package, they showed a clip from Mae Young Classic, dubbed in Michael Cole calling her Io Sky. She was Io Shirai back then. Let's not lie. I hate when they try to lie about history. It's ridiculous. So El Grande Americanos just had a match. Got a big pop, but it's obvious that's Ludwig Kaiser. I mean, completely different size, no neck tattoo, the mask fit's completely different, and Ludwig Kaiser cannot do the Lucha Libre style like Chad Gable can do it. But I suppose that's part of the comedy, is that we can tell it's different, and the whole funny part of El Grande Americano was the fact that we knew it wasn't someone different. We knew it was Chad Gable, and now they've managed to make it even better by, we know it's not the original El Grande Americano, and it's in fact now Ludwig Kaiser. I suppose WWE do this all the time. I mean, they did something like this 2 years ago where they had Ezekiel, who we could all tell was Elias, and when he said, "Oh, I'll have Elias show up," we could tell it was a fake beard. You know, it is what it is, isn't it? Paul Heyman tries to confront Penta backstage, the same way he tried to do with Sami Zayn and Jey Uso. Obviously in previous weeks, he speaks Spanish to him. Penta speaks back. Braun Breaker walks in shot, and he said, "Look, you don't talk to Paul that way." And then Penta just said, "Listen, zero miedo," obviously meaning zero fear. But I just hate how WWE rinse catchphrases. Like Jey Uso's promos now is, "I'm gonna win, yeet." It's so dumb. It's so, like, make it mean something. At least it was like a funny moment where they're like, "Oh, I hate those hand signals and stuff like that," but it just seems so stupid. Like, I'm gonna win an argument by saying my catchphrase, and every time they're like, "Oh, can't believe he said that." Says it every week, you know what I mean? So just as Penta versus Seth Rollins begins, Gunther come out again to hit another promo. Instead, he got hit with Goldberg. Goldberg skirted in on a car, which you could tell was a setup, overused rinse scene. Sorry, but it is. Everyone's chanting Goldberg. Honest to God, I feel like live US crowds are not real. I feel like they're AIs. I don't know, because why was everyone so into Goldberg? I thought we hated him. I thought we didn't want to see this match. He comes in and has a stare off with Gunther, like, "Fight me now," and everyone's like, "Holy shit, holy shit, holy shit." Why? Why is it holy shit? We knew this was happening. We know they're feuding. Why is this holy shit? Anyway, Gunther evades a spear, because obviously they're saving it for Saturday night's main event. Whatever. Penta versus Seth. This has to be an amazing match. It has to be. Simple. And that will be the end to an absolutely amazing episode of Monday Night Raw, with Penta and Seth putting on a banger. It just, like, Seth was getting his arse handed to him by Penta, yes, but Seth was still doing great in that match, and we don't see enough of Seth in the ring, man. We only see him on PLEs these days, so to see him on the main event of Monday Night Raw putting on a banger, it just shows, man. Seth is the GOAT. Seth is the GOAT. Greater than Roman Reigns. Greater, I don't care. Better than Roman Reigns. I seen a photo the other day. It said rank them in terms of in-ring skill. Shawn Michaels, Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, and Seth Rollins. Everyone was saying Seth Rollins is at the bottom of that list. I think that's disrespectful. I know you might think some of them are better in-ring than Rollins, but I'm sorry. Rollins has chemistry with everyone. Rollins is the GOAT. And he won with, like, a low blow, but it was like a headbutt low blow, so it didn't look like an intentional low blow. And then the stomp, and won. But the show closed with LA Knight hitting a blunt force trauma. God. On Seth Rollins as Braun and Braun. So we're coming out, they chased him out, and when they were chasing him, Braun tripped on the floor when getting out the ring, and then tripped over the barricade and got himself stuck until Bronson pulled him out. That was quite funny, yeah. Crowd was on point for that last match. It is what it is. I'll bring NXT reactions tomorrow, and then I can make Great American Bash predictions, and then once I do my SmackDown reaction, I can bring Saturday night's main event predictions and Evolution predictions. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.